Want some candy?
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. I'm all out of bubblegum.
Well, hello, Mr. Fancy Pants.
I hear you looking for candy, man, bitch.
Give me some sugar, baby. Like scary movies.
Want some candy?
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's time for another episode of Monster Candy Podcast. That's right, we're back with a sausage edition of Monster Candy Podcast. It's just Screamin' E from the Memphis Murder Men.
Yeah.
And Dominic Davi, myself from Tsunami Bomb, here in Monster Candy Podcast. Unfortunately, Shotzi Blackheart could not join us again this week because, well, she's doing other shit. But you got us, and that's going to have to be good enough. I know we're not as cute.
It's going to be a virtual stream crossing since Mr. Dominic has hurt his foot.
Crossing the streams. Yes, we're doing this by Zoom because I have injured myself and I couldn't make it out to see E, so we couldn't record together. So we are recording over Zoom. So any weird little quirks that you hear in the recording, that's coming from that. But we are back and we are here to talk about a brand new horror movie called
But first,
I guess they would already know that what it's going to be because it's like literally the title of the episode.
right.
So we're going to talk about Blood Vessel. But first, it's time for
horror
news.
Thank you, Shotzi. She always brings us in really well. See, whenever Shotzi isn't here,
He does all right.
We had her record a number of samples, and every time she's not here, we pull from those samples and make her like interact with the episode. It's almost like she's here, except she's not. It's not as smelly because she's not farting.
But she is here.
She's here virtually. She's here in spirit.
Simulation.
Yeah, all it means is that I have to edit the episode afterwards. I can't just drop the conversation. I have to like go through it, find when we need to port her in and port it in. Thankfully, it's usually in the beginning because of horror news. Speaking of horror news,
yes.
What do you got for us? What's going on in the world of horror?
Dude, the first thing I want to talk about is, so I got this, what's the name of this magazine? Super BMX.
Okay, going in a direction
I got this
didn't
from
plan.
Right. This brings the world of Screamin' E together in podcast land. So our good buddy Holtzfeuer, singer of Arnocorps, gives me this BMX magazine that he found.
Okay.
That he's had from 1983.
Oh shit.
So
that's when BMX magazines were at their chef's kiss, at their height.
Oh man. So I'm looking through this and I see this little girl on this bike. I will post pictures of this tomorrow.
Okay, check out our Monster Candy media because this will go up tomorrow.
Okay. Then today, whenever, I'm going to post pictures of it. So I'm flipping.
This is the Thanksgiving episode. I'm sorry, I just didn't realize this is going to be a Thanksgiving episode. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Yes.
Hopefully you're not infecting your family with a virus pandemic. Anyway, go on. So you have a BMX magazine from 1980.
Right.
Girl.
So I'm flipping through it. I see this little girl on this bike, right?
Yeah.
This BMX bike, right? Racing leathers, like the whole deal. And I'm like, man, that chick looks super familiar. She's probably 8 years old. Little blonde girl. I'm like, dude, that looks like fucking Carol Ann, right? Heather O'Rourke.
Okay.
And I'm like, it's so fucking random. Why would she even be in this magazine, right? So I flip to the next page. Lo and behold, BMX Happy Days and Heather O'Rourke, right? I didn't know she was on Happy Days. Did you?
No.
Right? Okay, so I start reading this little thing. I'll read it. Here we go. Little 8-year-old Heather O'Rourke, who plays on ABC's Happy Days, has recently developed an interest in bicycling, more specifically BMX. Not too long ago, she received a BMX bike, and since that time, she has been riding it whenever her busy schedule permits. Okay. Besides her work on Happy Days, again, had no fucking clue she was on Happy Days.
Yeah.
Heather has been in several commercials, was in the motion picture Poltergeist, and done a Walt Disney special entitled Believe You Can and You Can. Never heard of that either. Anyway, who knows? Maybe someday this little celebrity will show up at the races as a competitor in a girls' class. How wrong they were, unfortunately.
Wow.
So wrong.
Yeah,
Right.
they were wrong. Apparently,
They
she
only
played
knew.
Heather Pfister, the 7-year-old daughter of Ashley Pfister, a divorcee who is Fonzie's steady girlfriend in season 10.
So I guess her dad would be Mr. Fister.
That seems to be what it is. Pfister. You tell me how to pronounce that.
I would say Fister. But anyway, yeah. I was like, what in the fuck? So that's my first piece of horror news. I'm like, fucking BMX and horror movies.
That's
That's
crazy.
basically me. But anyway, yeah, I thought that was super crazy and how super random that Holtz Foyer would be like, here's this magazine, no cover, whatever. Because he's
Mhm.
giving me all his other old BMX pluses. I was like, yeah, I'll take it. Awesome. Thanks. And I flipped through it and I'm like, what the fuck? This is so weird. And then,
That's so strange. Like she was doing BMX. That's crazy.
yeah. And they had high hopes for her to maybe someday race. And I was like, yeah.
It'd have been crazy if
Nope.
she would have been like a BMX racer and continued to be an actress. And I don't know. I wonder what would have happened if she hadn't passed away.
Yeah. That was crazy though. But that was my first piece of horror news. Now, my next couple pieces are just things to watch on Shudder because Shudder has got some good things on there right now. First, Blood and Flesh, the real life and ghastly death of Al Adamson. Now, he's directed a bunch of 70s exploitation movies and random shit, you know what I mean? Like Dracula versus Frankenstein, Satan's Sadists, and Black Samurai, among a bazillion other ones. But, dude, anyone who has not checked this out needs to because it's fucking crazy.
Why is it crazy?
Just from his, well, dude, first of all, just the movies he made, which were complete garbage for most of them. But so I don't want to spoil it too much for anybody, but basically his dad was kind of like the first indie movie guy.
Mm-hmm.
Who was making all these movies, and if I'm remembering correctly, was it Universal came to him? I'm pretty sure Universal, and wanted to like give him a job or buy his movies or some shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
And he basically told them to fuck off because he was like, why do I need you? I'll just make, less cooks in the kitchen and more money for me, like that whole thing. So he was just doing it by himself and all that. And eventually his son also became a director, started off as an actor. I don't know, it gets crazy, but then how he dies or was murdered, it's just super gnarly and it was super interesting. So everyone should check that out if you haven't. He himself, it just seemed like a crazy, fun guy. But also, Leap of Faith, the Exorcist documentary, where basically the director, William, was it Friedkin?
Mm-hmm.
Just talks about the whole movie.
All right.
And just, just what he thought about it and just as they were filming, just all kinds of shit like that. It was just something you don't normally hear.
There's been a lot
So
of
much.
Exorcist documentaries, so this one feels a little bit different and fresher. Like you feel like,
Yeah. It's basically just him. It's him talking the whole. It's just him talking the whole documentary about filming the movie. You know, all issues they had, like all kinds of shit. So check that out.
Nice.
Yeah. What do you got anything, Dom?
Those are cool. I will have to check both those out because I haven't seen either one of those. I did find one thing that I thought was interesting. This is kind of hot off the presses, and if this episode goes live tomorrow, then this is brand new news for a lot of people. It turns out Netflix has made a $200 million bid for Godzilla versus Kong, but Warner Brothers, who controls the release of it, might be blocking that deal and preparing an offer of its own for the streamer HBO Max. So it looks like they're about ready to give up on having any sort of actual release. They say they do plan to release it next year as scheduled. Apparently, Hollywood Reporter explained that Godzilla vs. Kong, the fourth entry in the series, is slated for May 21st, 2021. It's a really highly anticipated monster movie, blockbuster, but it's far from clear that U.S. theaters will fully be back in business by then. And even if they are, the studios face a pileup of major releases that were pushed due to the pandemic. So there's a ton of movies just sitting, waiting to come out.
Fucking
Meanwhile,
Rona.
Legendary is stuck with the cost of carrying an unreleased big budget film that they've invested a ton of money in and are not getting anything back on it. Though Warner Brothers only has a 25% stake in the movie, the deal makes it so that Warner Brothers controls where it gets released. So now they get to decide whether Netflix is the deal or Warner Brothers is the deal, but they have to come up with a deal that Legendary will approve. It's just Warner Brothers controls it in the end. I guess the movie was directed by Adam Wingard, who directed Bloody Disgusting's A Horrible Way to Die and had shorts in both VHS and VHS2, as well as The Guest, Your Next, and Blair Witch. And it features Alexander Skarsgård, Millie Bobby Brown again, Rebecca Hall, and Kyle Chandler.
Kind of breaks my heart.
Yeah, so I mean, I guess this is going to end up being a streamed movie. Here's the tagline, as if anybody needs it. I feel like this movie should sell everybody on it. As far as King Kong versus Godzilla, that's should sell it enough. In a time when monsters walk the earth, humanity's fight for a future sets Godzilla and Kong on a collision course that will see the two most powerful forces of nature on the planet collide in a spectacular battle for the ages. As Monarch embarks on a perilous mission into uncharted terrain and unearths clues to the Titan's origins, a human conspiracy threatens to wipe out the creatures, both good and bad, from the face of Earth together. Oh, excuse me, from the face of Earth forever. I don't know why I said together at the end there.
Together
Forever and ever. I think that's interesting. First off, I don't really see King Kong or Godzilla as good or bad. They're just forces of nature in this universe, so that's interesting. And it's again, a human conspiracy threatens to wipe out. It's like, you know what, I don't know how many times everyone needs to explain to these people that nobody cares about the human plot in this movie.
Yeah, it makes me think that there's going to be other monsters in it. When they say good and bad, because what it sounds like is they'll fight and then they'll team up to fight the other monsters.
Yeah, this sucks because this would be a great theater movie, though. I mean, this is going to be one of those fun. This is one of those movies, kind of like how we handled the Meg, where you get popcorn, you get candy, you get soda, you get your friends, and you go to this movie and you just watch the ridiculousness ensue, and you're going to be entertained because it's just going to be crazy. So this is going to be a crazy movie, but like we're talking, Netflix is willing to throw down $200 million to get the rights to this movie. That's crazy. I mean, think about that. $200 million to stream it.
Man, see, I feel like that's not these monster movies aren't, and you just don't get the same experience Like you have to see it in the movie theater first. Like how we saw the Meg.
Yeah.
Like you could rewatch it on TV or DVD, Blu-ray, whatever. You could watch that, but you to see it, like to really experience it,
Yeah.
dude, you have to see it in the theater. That's gonna.
This is going to be a tough one not to see in the theater. I mean, I'll watch it wherever, it's like,
Right.
I'm going to be into watching this movie. I got a cool system here at home to watch stuff on. I'll be stoked. But yeah, I agree with you. I mean, this is kind of one of those theater movies that you just, I mean, the most ideal way to see this is with a bunch of friends, and just like really do it up, go get dinner, have get some barbecue, go before you go to the theater, get candy and just geek out and be a kid for like 2 hours. So, but
We'll see.
I mean, yeah, I'm it's just this is a
Hopefully.
tough one. You hear positive stuff about things. I've been hearing more and more, like with this vaccine rolling out, like April might be a time when things reopen, which means May would be cool. But I mean, if I have a choice, this would be a movie where I'd totally still watch. If theaters are safe, I would go to the
Oh, yeah.
theater, and then I would totally follow it up by watching it at home if I loved it.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, even if theaters aren't that safe, I'll get a hazmat suit or some shit. I don't know, whatever. I'll fucking
we're all in
plastic bag on
bubbles.
my head.
We're in a
Yeah.
our own little bubbles.
Yeah, whatever it needs. But yeah, I'd much rather watch that in the theater than, at least at first, initially, I'd rather watch it in the theater versus at home. But
I don't
we'll
know how
see.
much. I don't know how these theaters are going to survive much longer, especially these smaller ones. Some of our favorites. Like I
Yeah.
wonder how Alameda Theater is doing in your town. It's a great theater. It's one of my favorites in the area. I hope.
Well, they started a GoFundMe like a couple months ago,
Mhm.
reached the goal, and
That's good.
opened back up for like, they started replaying some older movies.
Oh yeah.
Of course, it was limited fucking capacity and all that jazz. But
Holy shit! They raised $106,092.
yeah,
Their goal was 100. They're still going on. It's $125,000 goal actually. So I guess
yeah,
they upped it.
which was they did up it because if initially it was 100,000,
Yeah,
and then
they reached the goal.
it was like 125. I was like, wait, what? Well, hold on, what? But whatever. I mean, whatever keeps it open.
That's really
But
cool that town can represent your town represented and took care of it.
yeah, but we'll fucking see, man. We'll see how that plays out.
It takes $25,000 to maintain that theater every month.
Yeah.
They don't even make the money. According to the GoFundMe, they don't even sustain. They don't even break even until they operate at a 60 to 70% capacity. That's the only way it can break even.
That's the word I just so.
But that's incredible, though, dude. 106,000 of a 106,000 of $125,000 goal. Now they've raised it up. Hey, listen, if any of you are interested in really supporting a really amazing theater, just go to GoFundMe.com/help-the-Alameda-theater. I mean, you just look up Alameda Theater and GoFundMe. It's a great place. It definitely deserves to stay open. Looks like it's gonna, but I'm sure every little bit helps. And you should probably check your local theater and see your favorite place. It might need help. I mean, if it's a chain, that's going to be different. They're not really GoFunding me chain theaters,
But it is 2020, so who fucking knows? Maybe they are.
yeah, right.
Dude, there is one more piece of, I guess it's more sci-fi news.
Okay.
It's not really news because it's been out for a little bit, but it totally fits into our caged universe.
Oh God, are we back to that now? Jesus Christ.
Apparently, he just will not go away. So, have you heard of the movie that he will be starring in, Jiu-Jitsu?
No. What?
Okay. Listen to this. Every 6 years, an ancient order of expert jujitsu fighters faces a fearsome alien invader in a battle for Earth. For thousands of years, the fighters that protect Earth have played by the rules until now, when Jake Barnes,
Oh my God.
celebrated war hero and master jiu-jitsu fighter, refuses to face Brax, the indomitable leader of the invaders. The future of humanity hangs in the balance. Injured and suffering from the amnesia, Jake is captured by a military squad unequipped to fight the merciless intruder who, who have descended upon the planet. After a brutal alien attack on the military squad, Jake is rescued by Willie, or Wiley, Nicolas Cage, and a team of fellow jiu-jitsu fighters who must help him recover his memory and regain his strength in order to band together and defeat Brax in an epic battle that will once again determine the fate of mankind.
Oh my God.
All right, first of all, fucking really? Really, Nick Cage? Like, you're in some superhero jiu-jitsu fighter.
I'm stunned. I don't even know what to say about this. Oh, God damn it. I found it. Oh, Jesus Christ. Directed by Dimitri Logothesis. Thetis? What is Cage doing?
Anything he wants, apparently.
It's the poster I'm looking at has a picture of him with three other people, two dudes and a girl in front of a moon and an asteroid coming down. He has a katana in his hand.
Oh, yeah.
It's jujitsu in the worst font imaginable, and then it's just a bunch of people fighting over this weird ruined cityscape. Motherfucker, God damn you, E. Do you realize you just made it so that I'm going to have to watch
Yes,
another Nick Cage movie?
We're going to have to discuss this.
It's too soon. It's too soon.
I don't make the rules, man. Listen, man, Screamin' he doesn't make the rules. He just abides by them.
I have to see this now.
It kind of makes me mad that he's doing this and that we're going to have to watch it.
No, I have to watch it.
It's so fucking ridiculous. Like,
this is going to be terrible. This is going to be fucking terrible.
It's going to be complete horseshit. I guarantee.
Oh, for fuck's sake. God damn it, Nicolas Cage. I mean, this is garbage, but I still want to watch it. I don't know what else to say.
Dude, it'd be like if I can't even come up with an analogy. Like if The Last Samurai was made by fucking, I don't know, was in the Family Guy universe or some shit. Like it's gonna be so fucking stupid, probably. But who knows? It might be the greatest movie ever.
What?
The simulation might break, and this will be like the best movie that has ever been made. And it'll star Nicolas fucking Cage.
It's based on a 2017 comic book that the guy who directed it did with Jim McGrath, whoever that is.
I don't know. Nicolas Cage probably.
He was filmed in June 2019 in Cyprus, so in Greece, and then included a glimpse of ancient temples of Bagan in Burma. It is the 8th month in this debut weekend, November 20th, like literally 6 days ago. It was the 8th most rented title on Apple TV and on Fandango now. It has an approval rating right now on Rotten Tomatoes of 33% based on 27 reviews with an average rating of, here we go, are you ready for it?
Oh, yeah.
3.7 out of 10.
Sounds about right.
It's... Simon Abrams of RogerEbert.com rewarded the film 1.5 stars. Common Sense Media gave it 2 stars out of 5. IndieWire gave the film a D. Slant Magazine rewarded the film 1.5 stars out of 4.
We should do a live stream of watching it.
Oh man, maybe that's what we should do.
I think so. I think we should get together, watch it, and live stream our reactions.
Fortress of Solitude praised the film, describing it as an action-packed 90s style camp film that's all about entertainment.
Right.
Right. Okay. Rob Hunter from the Film School Rejects promoted positively the film, but noting while it neglects to include any actual jujitsu, more on that later, it does give viewers plenty of action beats and a few fun thrills. How could it not have jujitsu in the movie about jujitsu?
That's exactly what I thought when I read the thing. I think I might have seen a fucking trailer for it somewhere, and I'm like, that's not. Wait, that's not like. There's no jujitsu that I've seen in it. So what the fuck?
It's not even slightly related to jujitsu.
It's a spaghetti western kung fu movie, is what it sounds like. Science fiction spaghetti western.
So this is from Film School Rejects. This is admittedly a point that others won't be as stuck on, but if you're going to call your film jujitsu and talk about how an alien brought the fighting style to Earth, maybe let some of your characters actually use jujitsu. The martial arts style, particularly in its Brazilian form, isn't interested in hitting or kicking, and definitely isn't keen on automatic weapons. It's instead grappling heavy technique used to disarm and disable opponents through leverage and physical manipulation. We get none of that here, and that's despite someone saying, just remember one thing you will always have with jujitsu: leverage. That's a line from the film.
Of course.
Wow. Oh, what a piece of shit. Maybe we should do a live stream. Maybe we can watch it, do a live watch show on Facebook or something. I mean, I know Facebook sucks and nobody likes Facebook anymore, but we could do, you sometimes can watch stuff in a Facebook group.
Or we could do a YouTube.
Oh, YouTube. Yeah, that's better.
Yeah.
That would be funny.
From our YouTube channel.
That would be funny.
If all you candy killers out there have not subscribed to that channel, go do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, motherfuckers. But yeah, so dude, I've been holding on to that for a while.
Wow.
When I first saw it, and I was like, oh, we gotta discuss this.
Jiu-jitsu is nonsense. And I wish them luck, having already declared that this is supposedly a start of a new franchise.
Oh, good Lord. Which I'm sure Nicolas Cage will be a part of every single movie.
I guess Nicolas Cage makes a face-off gesture in the movie while wearing a mad smile, so that's got to count for something. That's how this article ends. Jesus Christ. God damn it. I don't know whether to cheer Nicolas Cage on or write him a letter formally declaring him to stop doing this.
I don't even know.
What a pile of shit. You guys are going to make me watch this pile of shit. All right, we'll watch it, and maybe you guys can watch it with us. We'll figure out a way to watch it.
Yeah, we'll do that. But on that note,
this
has been...
And that was horror news.
You know, it's almost like she's here. It really is. She's with us all the time.
She lingers.
Screamin', you're fired.
All right. Well, today we're talking about a brand new horror film from 2019, Blood Vessel. The film
Blood fucking Vessel.
So here's the stats. The film was made in Melbourne, Australia. It was directed by Justin Dix and written by Dix and Jordan Prosser. It stars Alyssa Sutherland, Robert Taylor, Nathan Phillips, Christopher Kirby, John Lloyd Fillingham, and Alex Cook. The film premiered on closing night at 2019 Films Quest in Provo, Utah, where it was nominated for 11 awards, winning for Best Art Department, Best Costume, Best Supporting Actress for Sutherland, and it was released on July 21st, 2020 on video demand service Shudder, which is how we saw it.
This was... Dude, when I was flipping through Shudder, I'm like, I'll say it. a lot of the Shudder originals or things that premiere on Shudder anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not a lot of them, but a good bit are not that great.
No, no.
So I was a little hesitant to watch it, but I was like, Nazi fucking World War II era horror movie. I'm like, typically those are pretty good, even if they're not so good.
Mm-hmm.
So I gave it a shot, and I was pleasantly surprised.
Yeah. I saw this movie got some flack. This movie's gotten some flack, which I think people need to ease the fuck up because
I agree.
this is like a fun short story. Like you can tell the budget's tight, but you can tell that they put the money where they could and they tried to effectively use it as best they could. Um the
Yeah,
makeup
I don't know what people would honestly expect from it.
apparently a lot. Let me give you guys, like, just in case you haven't seen it, you're kind of trying to get an idea. The storyline goes this: somewhere in North Atlantic in late 1945, a life raft is adrift at sea, and in it are the survivors of a torpedoed hospital ship. With no food, water, or shelter, all seems lost until an abandoned German minesweeper drifts ominously towards them, giving them one last chance of survival. Is
I'm just going to tell people, it's not a spoiler, but the first death scene is pretty great.
Yeah, it is actually. The first death scene has nothing to do with anything that happens later. But I think
No.
its whole purpose is to show you that anyone can die for any reason. They
Yeah,
don't
yeah, because
leave.
I wasn't expecting that person to go.
Yeah. You know, one time I found these there's a comic book app called, whoa, that it almost sounded like you put the reverb on when you burped right then. There was there's this comic app that I use because I can't store comic books anymore. I don't have enough room for that crap, but I love comics, so I read on Comixology, and I'm not advertising for it. But one time when I was searching, I went down this kind of rabbit hole of these horror comics that I found, like these small companies that put out a collection of horror comics. They're really fun. I really liked them. And I read a bunch of them, really just got a kick out of them. They were absolute trash, but like total Hammer horror, monster movies, vampires, World War II stuff, all sorts of crazy shit. And it was fun. They weren't really deep. It was super fun. Somebody obviously loved the genre and wanted to do their own version of it, and then they had fun doing it. That's what this movie reminded me of. It was somebody just going, you know what? I don't got a lot of money. I'm gonna make a film. And then when I looked into the guy that did it, Justin Dix, I guess his name is, he runs a
Just some dicks. I like that guy. Justin Dix.
Justin Dix, Dix.
Oh, Justin,
Justin.
not just
He's
some.
He's an award-winning special effects supervisor in Australia, and he's worked with George Lucas and Ronald J. Donaldson. He's the director of Wicked of Oz Studios, which is kind of funny since he's from Australia. Wicked of Oz. They do a lot of prosthetic makeup effects, props, miniatures, animatronic characters, and all different stuff. He directed. It's like you can definitely tell that when he doesn't get a big job or doesn't have anything else, he makes a film, which is pretty rad. And I guess he did a film called Crawl Space in 2012 and Blood Vessel in 2019. So like you gotta love a guy that, if nothing else is going on, he makes something going on for himself. He apparently worked on the prequel trilogy for Star Wars. He was worked on episode 2 and 3 at least, maybe on 1, 2, I don't know. But yeah, man, he clearly seems like when nothing else is happening, he makes something happen. You gotta love that. So
Yeah, I like how it just kind of started. Like I
yeah.
like you said, it's like a long short film,
Mm-hmm.
but it just started. There wasn't like a whole lot of setup, whole lot of backstory of who the people. Like there's nothing leading up to it. It's like, all right, here's the situation. This is what's going on. We're gonna start right here, and then it just, they get into the backstory a little later in the
Mm-hmm.
movie with the people, but just right off the bat, it's just like, all right, let's just, we're just going. I'm like, yeah, fucking great.
Yeah. No, it's super fun. The makeup effects are really great. Um, it's just not really deep, but I mean, you got a lot of cool characters. I mean, I guess the boat starts out with a captain who's Australian, I think. And then there's a cook, two cooks that are Americans that do not like each other. Then there's a British nurse and
Who was in was it the Mist
yeah,
series?
yeah, the
Because the
TV
whole time
series.
I'm like, why the fuck's this chick look so familiar? Who
Alyssa
is she?
Sutherland.
Right.
Um,
And then I looked it up. I was like,
she was also on Vikings. She was Aslog,
mm-hmm.
the princess and then queen. She was Eve Copeland in The Mist. Yeah, she's been on some stuff, just enough to be recognizable. It was interesting to see her in this because I recognized her too. I was like, where do I know that face? And I recognized her from Vikings. But then, okay, so the British nurse, then the two Americans, and the Australian captain. Then there's a English gentleman, code breaker guy, and then
The
there's
Russian guy.
the Russian guy, and then there's an Australian like soldier guy. And yeah, I mean it's an interesting mix of characters. And the the kind of I don't know. Being an American watching this film, I was like, okay, thanks a lot. Like they kind of made the American characters kind of. The one guy was good, but
Right.
the other guy was a piece of
funny,
shit.
The funny part about that is, as I'm watching it, I'm kind of getting the same feeling as you are. I'm like, God damn it! I feel like they're really bagging on the U.S.
Yeah, a little bit.
Which I was like, like whatever. But I'm like, in World War II, like, how can you can't do that, But
Oh,
they
did.
had the one douchebag and then the like good American guy. But
They had one American who represented, like, who was
right,
more badass, but you could definitely
so
tell it was like
it was heavily favoring the Australian
well,
guy. So I was
it
like,
was an Australian film, so
dude. I
fair.
was like, I wonder who the fuck made this, because they're really making this Australian guy seem like the shit here. So then I looked and I was like, oh, okay. Now it makes sense.
Well, the funny part is that all the tropes, all the personalities in the film are totally American action movie tropes. Like they got the nebbish kind of guy that could betray you, that's totally scared of everything and just looking any way to survive. You got the cowardly freak out guy, that like straight up from Aliens, like game over, man, game over.
Mm-hmm.
And you got the super tough guy. You got the grizzled, experienced captain. You have the beautiful but capable and peacemaking like female lead,
Mm-hmm.
who's she's capable but she's damaged. And then you had like the super badass soldier, like, and then you had the quiet and steady badass in the Russian. It's like these are all
Right.
American tropes, like, like,
If this it was an 80s movie, basically. You're like, oh, okay.
but then they kind of took the American action tropes and kind of like skewed them away from America and like focused on Australia, which is totally fine. But it was hilarious because I did notice, I
It
was
was
like, wow,
super obvious.
you're making
Because I
these
was
American.
Yeah. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
all
And
right, Australia. I see you. I see you.
I see the shade. I see some shade here.
Right.
It's okay. But I mean, I get it. But wow. Ouch. Okay.
The
I mean, gotta own it.
the effects were pretty good.
Yeah, for the money
was
that they
into it.
obviously had, they did do their best in the money. I will say the monsters, though, uh, without going into too spoilery detail, I will say the monsters' faces look amazing, amazing makeup jobs. You can definitely tell this is made by a makeup effects company, as they wanted to use as their real. But their costumes were essentially like pretty much black robes, and it was just like
Right.
you could get at like any sort of spirit Halloween store. Like it was like super. I was like, really? Could we not? Like we had nothing. You couldn't give them anything. I mean, I don't know what I wanted, but like it just seems so like it was totally like watching Face Off, the makeup effects reality show. Like, and then because they don't have time for costumes, they can only do a face, and then they'll put their monsters and their vampires in robes because it's like they just don't have time. They got to grab whatever and they just cover as much as possible. And then you have the clawy hands. They focus on the hands and the head, and they cover everything else because they just don't
everything
have
you
time.
can see. They're like, all right, we're gonna make that really good, and everything else will just throw some shit on it.
Yeah, and this was totally that. Like it was like 100% what they were doing. Like it looked what you saw looked good, but they were totally hiding as much as possible.
I also noticed, I don't know if you picked this up or noticed this. Spoiler alert, there's a female monster and a male monster, right?
There's a family. There's a family monsters.
Right. Oh, that too. Okay, the child, totally normal looking.
Yeah.
The mother, okay, kind of grotesque, but still, there's some elegance in it.
Mm-hmm.
The father now is just a fucking grotesque monster.
I know they totally went like, okay, the little girl, we're gonna do like a little girl because you there's a little bit of expectation and like switcheroo there that's pretty obvious but fun, still funly executed. And then you have the female monster and they make her just sexy enough to still be kind of like recognizably pretty, and
it's like a progression or regression depending on which way you start, but it's like, okay, you got the dad, fucking ugly, like he's a monster,
just straight up monster, and he looks good.
Got the mom, right, does look good. And you got the mom, less ghoulish, you could see some sort of humanity in there, but but in an elegant way and whatever. Okay, and then you got the kid who's like totally normal. I was like, what the fuck?
Again, it reminded me of a Face Off episode where they are trying to do 3 makeups where it's like transformation. It's like the human,
right,
that's just slightly a monster, then the transitional human that looks human but is still monstrous, and then you just go full crazy monster. And that's really, let's be honest, like what this movie is a reel. It's a makeup reel, an effects reel in the casing of a movie. Like this company's trying, the Wicked of Oz is trying to convince people to like hire us and we'll make your cheap horror movie. Like look what we can do on our own with no budget. And they're showcasing, like it was so purposeful. It was like, I don't know, I watched a lot of Face Off, so I guess watching that I was like recognizing like they are showcasing like, look, here's our environmental effects, like here's our makeup, here's our prosthetics, here's like an early, a middle, and a full monster. I mean, it was just pretty obvious. Like here's our fabrication of the coffins and the boxes, like how cool we can make those look. And everything did look really
cool. Look cool.
It did look cool. It was just like it's so obviously a real. But you know what? Fuck it. Like if I had gone to a horror convention and I picked this up off somebody's table selling this movie as a Blu-ray, I would be so stoked that this is what I picked up. Like, it's super worth it. It's like a Saturday morning. It's like a Saturday matinee horror movie or a late night. Like this is a worthy like
feature.
Yeah, this should be. I think Joe Bob Briggs should totally do this film and talk about it, just because it's just entertaining and fun as hell. It's like Elvira should host this fucking film and talk about it. You know, and Creepy Coffee Movie Time should have done it. Like,
right.
It's a fun film.
And another thing that we've discussed before is how it takes place and where it takes place. Confined space.
Mm-hmm. No,
confined to one space, which can we just say is to make a really great horror movie. I feel like that's the perfect setting for it. In a house, on a ship, like whatever. You know what I mean?
Well, if you have no money, yeah.
That too.
Yeah.
But it just makes it seem more realistic. Because once you're out in the open, it's not as scary, really.
No, it's
But
definitely this movie took advantage of every single trope that it could do and still keep itself afloat. I would say it did so very well. Some people don't like it because of that. I could see some people going like, "Oh, I just saw everything coming." Like, I mean, you're gonna see all the twists coming. It's like you see them from a mile away. They don't
yeah,
hide. They don't hide anything.
as soon as I saw the little girl, the daughter, I was
Yeah,
like, I know exactly where this is going.
yeah. There's no
But I
hiding.
didn't. But I didn't care. No, but it was, dude. It's like a fucking cheeseburger.
Yeah,
You know what you're getting into. You know what to expect. And if it's even if it's a mediocre, halfway decently cooked cheeseburger, then you're like, oh, that was a good cheeseburger. That was a good burger. Huh, That's
right.
how this movie was. No surprises, nothing new, nothing groundbreaking. But what
Right.
they did well with what they had. So
What was the
I enjoyed it.
movie that what was that movie on Shutter that I liked? You liked it, okay, and then people got mad. There was like one or two people got mad at us for liking it and said it was boring. It was the infection one.
Oh, yeah.
We didn't do an episode on it, but we talked about it during another episode.
It was the Lovecraftian type movie.
Yeah, it was on. I'm looking for it. Anyway, like we liked the movie, and a bunch of the fans, like there's a couple fans that were like, "Why did you recommend this movie? I got in trouble for actually watching this. Like how dare you?"
it was, wasn't it just like one word?
It was like wasn't it like about the beach house? Like I
Beach
what
House. That was it. The
was it
Beach
called?
House.
Beach
Beach
House?
House. Yeah,
Are
the
you
Beach
serious?
House.
Was it called Beach House? I'm gonna laugh.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Yes.
Yeah, Beach House. The Beach
Yeah.
House. Okay, yeah, okay. So people were mad because they thought that this one was too slow moving. This one does not have that problem. But
No.
I have a feeling that some people could be like, dude, that was just totally obvious. Like, it's all the horror tropes. It's super ridiculously obvious. Why did you like this? But it's like, dude, just relax.
That's why. That's
Pour yourself a
why I
Coke.
like it.
Pour yourself a goddamn Coke. Eat yourself a cookie and watch this fucking movie because it's fun.
Yeah.
It's not
Do that.
groundbreaking in any way, shape, or form, but like it's just a fun, entertaining, not slow. It's not slow at all. I mean, it's so
No.
there's nothing in this movie you haven't seen before.
It's like that short, again, 1940s World War II era horror movies always seem to work pretty well. From the Creep Show, Shudder's Creep Show series, the Nazi werewolves.
Yeah, it's definitely along the.
Which is fine. Like, 'cause, sometimes you don't really need a whole lot of bullshit. Like,
Why? No. Sometimes you just want to watch a fun movie, man. If you want to like watch something in the background and enjoy it, you're gonna enjoy it. I watched it while I was working, and I was definitely not bummed. But why do we love the World War II vampire werewolf movies? Why is that such a cool trope that very actually surprisingly few movies have taken advantage of? I mean, right off the top of my head, recently, Overlord, Blood Vessel, and that short and Creep Show. I mean,
I think first off, I think it's just aesthetically it's aesthetically pleasing. Just that whole era is really good to look at and nice to look at, and it kind of sets it off in a time where there's some technology, but not enough to really make like a big difference. And like, oh, well, why didn't they just do this? Or they could have just done that. Because they couldn't. Like, things are still fairly primitive compared to now, But I think it's just it's a simple template. that has a lot of stuff you can work with.
I think
And
also, yeah, go on.
the
Sorry.
poor Germans, they're still fucking. I mean, granted, it's not that long ago, but if you're like, oh my god, we need a villain. Who are people really gonna hate? Oh,
Nazis.
German Nazis.
Well, I mean, they're
Like,
easy. I mean, that's
Right.
I mean,
That's what I
plus,
mean. It's
they had
it's
that
the go-to.
occult. Plus, they had that
Right.
occult fascination, so you can
Oh,
really
yeah.
insert like cool tropes in there. But then you find out like realistic stuff, like the whole werewolf thing, the World War II werewolf, Nazi werewolves. Like apparently, I didn't know this, but here's a little history lesson for everybody. In the declining days of World War II, when Germany was fully occupied by Americans and they were quelling the resistance and just calming everything down, there was a bunch of German soldiers and citizens that were urged by a particular radio station and an order that was kind of like, an order to resist at all costs. And so there was a group of soldiers and fighters in Germany who were still attacking and killing American soldiers and European occupying soldiers and even citizens who were cooperating. So like if you were a mayor or somebody who ran a power plant and you were cooperating with the occupying forces to
The
bring
Allies.
power back, the Allies, to bring power back to the city, and you were coordinating with them to fixing the power lines and stuff, which they were doing after it would have been bombed and destroyed. And then they would try and kill you and like kidnap you and kill you or just blow you up, and they were literally nicknamed werewolves. And that's like where that trope fucking came from, and that's amazing. Like that's an amazing
dude, there's a lot of crazy shit that
Mhm.
Heinrich Himmler was doing behind the back of Adolf Hitler with occult shit. Like, a lot of that stuff we know. It's like, oh, Hitler was doing all this stuff, but a lot of it was Heinrich Himmler, spearheading all this stuff, even though Hitler didn't want him to do it. But it had to do with a lot of shit like this, which dude, it's so interesting. And that time in general, super interesting.
It just really also fascinates me that like after all these years of really understanding that Nazis were just really fucked up, it was a really fucked up time in German history, and that's just the reality. It's fascinating, it's interesting, but it is fucked up. But I mean, like that in 2020, we're even discussing with anybody waving around Nazi flags. Like, I mean, I'm just like, come on, guys, like seriously, what are you doing? What are you doing,
dude? It's fucking crazy. But again, I think just that time, dude. And there's still probably so much shit we don't know about that period,
right?
And about what the Nazis were doing and everything. You know what I mean? Fucking aliens. The
fucking aliens. Did you say fucking aliens? That's amazing.
Yeah, man. That's well, they were in control of some fucking alien technology. That's why we took all their scientists.
Oh my god. Well,
I guess we didn't take all of them. Russia took some too, and everybody else took some of their shit. But dude, there's probably so much more gnarly shit we don't even know about. And you can just make stuff up too. Oh, they were, scouring the earth for vampires.
Yeah.
Okay. And you believe it though, because there was already enough weird, wacky shit that you're like, really? That's what you guys believed, or that's what you were going for? So yeah, just throw some fucking vampires or werewolves or anything supernatural. You're like, I 100% believe it.
Jesus Christ. Well, yeah. So I mean, I think this movie's a lot of fun. I think it's it's like I said, there's nothing new, there's no new ground in it, and it is completely and obvious a production reel, portfolio reel for this makeup effects company in Australia. But I mean, they got my vote. I think it's awesome. I think it's fun as hell and terrifying, and not terrifying. I mean, it's just fun. It's just fun. It's like a comic book.
It is. Yeah, dude, it's a good way to explain it or describe it as like a horror comic.
Yeah.
There should definitely be more movies, World War II horror movies.
You know what? They they should just grab them and shovel them in my mouth. Like that's what I want. I mean, I think Shotzi feels the same way. It's like, dude, let's just give us more of that. Like, I love it.
To me, this is what I wanted Blood Snow to be.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Where
I
like
feel you.
Blood Snow had a cool premise, but it just got too corny or like
Mhm.
cheesy, campy. I was like, oh
It's a
man, you
good
were
scene.
going in the right direction, and then you camped it up. Whereas this, again, nothing new, no surprises, but it was what you expected, but it was good.
You know, I never saw Blood Snow 2.
Ugh.
I saw Blood
I was,
Snow and I liked it.
I was,
You know, it's cheesy, but it's fun. But I never saw Blood Snow
I
2.
can't, I can't imagine it was much better. I'm gonna say it was probably worse. That's my guesstimate.
I'm gonna have to check that out. We should probably talk about Blood Snow. There's a lot of people who like Blood Snow. We could do an episode on that.
There is a lot of people that like Blood Snow. We can because I was not a fan of it. So it'll be a fun episode because I'll probably disagree with everything.
Yeah, everything I say, because I'll be way
Yeah.
more tolerant of it than you.
Yeah. I was pretty bummed out about it. Yeah. So
I
if
would need to
that's
watch
any
it again.
indication,
I would want to watch it again. We should do a Blood Snow and Blood Snow 2. And Shotzi should be in on that one. We should just do them both
yeah.
together. We should just not, let's not separate it out. Let's put it together.
Watch them have nothing to do with each other. Like,
I don't remember. Like I said, I don't think I ever saw 2.
yeah.
You know
Me
another
either.
movie I want to do? I'll say it on the podcast while recording. I'd like to do The Descent and Descent 2.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, another time.
Oh,
Another time.
did you happen to watch the movie I suggested, The Scare Me, the other one that was on
I
Shudder?
haven't had a chance. I've been
Dude,
slammed.
check
with
it out.
Stuff.
Check it out.
Okay.
That'd be a fun one, not to do like a whole episode on, but just discuss maybe
Okay.
in the beginning of another episode. But it's clever. It's definitely clever. So you people out there in podcast land should check that out as well.
What do you mean, you people? Okay, right on.
What do you mean?
What do you mean, you people? What do you
Huh?
mean, you people?
Huh?
What is all right, well then I guess we're at that point. Like what
We are.
how many cute, adorable zombie candy corns would you give it?
Well, baby, I'm gonna give this a number 3.
Wow.
3 cute little adorable zombie candy corns. Screaming.
You know that?
Do you like that effect?
I did. That effect made it really feel like a big deal.
You know, I got a new microphone here, so
it's good.
trying
It's
it out.
good. It's a good microphone. You sound good. I think I will do the same. I'll give it 3. I think that's an accurate.
Like, wasn't anything surprising or groundbreaking. It
No.
was just a straightforward, fun movie, and it wasn't that long. You know what I mean? It was just fun. Just watch it. You don't have to think about anything really.
It's Saturday afternoon horror. That's what I would call it. It's Saturday afternoon horror. You're kicking back, hanging out, just throwing something on the TV, and then you kind of just enjoy it. Like,
Yeah.
that's how I feel about it.
Yeah.
I don't think Saturday afternoon movies are a thing anymore, but there was a time when I was a kid.
Be.
You remember when you were a kid, like they throw on some crazy, like it could be a Tarzan movie. It could be like a World War II soldier movie, or like Errol Flynn in some pirate movie, or like a horror movie, something. But it's nothing too heavy, nothing crazy, but it was always entertaining.
Saturday afternoon, or like Sunday evening or late afternoon movies, I guess, would be like 4:00, or it'd start at 3, and they'd have 2 movies, or like a Thursday night movie.
Mhm.
Like, dude, The 80s used to be so fucking cool.
It was
These,
pretty
these
cool
kids,
stuff.
these kids don't know what they're missing
No, they don't.
with all their streaming services and shit at the tip of their fingers. Ugh. But yeah, I agree. I think it was just a fun movie that you don't have to think a lot about. You could just enjoy. And I've actually watched it a few times, and
Yeah, it's totally
I
a
don't
movie I'd
hate
throw
it
on
any
again.
less.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a movie I'd throw on in the background for sure. I would not be
Yeah.
sorry. There's not much to it. Like there just isn't. But it's cool. It's fun. So
Yeah.
that's it, guys.
I agree.
All right. It's another episode in the can. Thank you for joining us for Monster Candy Podcast. Thanks for hearing about our opinions on stuff. Thanks for sticking with us through this Rona times. We'll be back with more movies.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll do Blood Snow or Descent. And God,
Well,
I don't know.
This is our 49th episode, so our next
Yeah.
one is 50.
Oh my God, we got to have Shotzi back for a 50.
Yeah.
All
So
right.
we'll be doing that. That might take a while.
Jeez.
You know, even if we do another episode before then, that will not be episode 50. So we're going to have to number them differently.
Yeah, we'll have the number.
Yeah. No
I
matter
don't know how to do that. I don't know if
until
I
she's back, everything, the 50 will be omitted.
I'm not sure I can work that out, but I'll do my best.
Yeah.
Oh man.
We'll
All right.
figure it out. But, and we also have another special guest.
Yes,
along.
I'm kind of
Like,
excited about this one. You arranged, and the funny thing is I didn't arrange this. You did. You made this happen.
It's they mentioned something online that I noticed, and I was like,
We have a special musical guest, and we don't get guests often. I mean, we had Enzo. Who else do we have as a guest? We've had some guests. Not many, though.
Our friend Ashley.
Yeah, occasionally a guest.
Yeah.
All right, everyone.
I mean Ashley Guerrero.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Ashley.
We know a lot of Ashleys.
We know too many Ashleys. Okay, yeah, Ashley was a great guest too. Why isn't she coming? We need to get her back. She was great.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
she just moved.
this is the longest.
But
goodbye
yeah,
ever.
it is the longest goodbye. But yeah, our special guest will be fun. They have opinions.
They have a lot of opinions. I can personally back that having worked with her for 20 years, she has a lot of opinions. All right, well, everyone, thank you so much for listening. We will definitely catch you next time for our 50th episode, whenever that happens. But happy Thanksgiving. Hope you're listening to this podcast and shutting out your family and ignoring them, and then go run over and watch Blood Vessel on your phone or computer.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. From your loyal podcast hosts here at the Monster Candy Podcast, man. Oh man.
Eat a turkey. You've been listening to Monster Candy Podcast. Want to find out more about the show? Find us on the web at monstercandypodcast.com. You can also find us on Facebook and Instagram by searching Monster Candy Podcast. And you can find our Twitter at MonsterCNDYPC. Hey, we couldn't fit the whole name. What do you want from us? Let us know what you think of the show, and if we're right or if we're wrong, or what you want us to tackle next. We want to hear from you. Well, Shotzi and I do, but I can promise that E doesn't really care. To find out more about Shotzi Blackheart and her professional wrestling, follow her Twitter at Shotzi Black or her Instagram at Shotzi Blackheart. You can follow Screamin' E's band, the Memphis Murder Men, on Facebook at TMMM official page, or his Instagram at Screamin' E. That's Screaming with no G, add the E. For me, Dominic Davi, you can find my artwork at dominicdavi.com, my band Tsunami Bomb at tsunamibomb.net, and you can hear my other podcast, 3 Gigs, at 3gigspodcast.com, or on the same platform you're hearing this podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you next time.
on Monster Candy Podcast.
Suck my peanuts.